What's in a question? Maybe just about everything important. As long as you want to keep up with the trends, this is a right segment to tune into. Hangover remedies that get us through a rough morning, a day after a fun night out. Well, there's apparently a trend in the horizon that we want to talk about, which is why Diane chose this topic for us. She joins us in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Thursday.
Don't you think it would have been a more Friday appropriate topic? Although I have friends that Thursday is a preview to a Friday, and weekends begin on a Thursday.
Of course, Thursday is the new Friday.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Are you trying to make it a thing?
No, I think it's a thing.
Okay.
I mean, if you go out to the streets on Thursday night, it's always so packed.
All right, I'll take your word for it. I'm not out on a Thursday night, so I wouldn't know. All right, guys. I mean, this is in line with a recent trend. I mean, social gatherings they've returned in small and big scales, and so this naturally comes into that equation too. Here's your question of the day once more.
All right, so question: what is your hangover remedy? I know it's a bit early to talk about drinking, but hangovers, this is the perfect time for the people who just woke up after drinking yesterday.
It happens.
Right.
Wednesday, some hump days are more difficult than others. So let us help you power through. The thing is, Diane and I are so far-fetched from being an expert on this topic that maybe we're not the right people to be talking about it. But it's a trend that's too evident for us to ignore. What people do after a night out, they go for haejang, which literally translates as practice of getting over a hangover.
Right.
Koreans take our hangover remedies, I think, more seriously.
Right. I mean, if I were to talk about the taste of the hangover remedies, I wouldn't be able to tell you what it tastes like because I've never tried. But when it comes to what's the trend, I can tell you guys.
Sure.
So so-called hangover remedies, including pre or during and post-drinking beverages, chewing gums, and pills, can be found at every convenience store in South Korea. The country is known for the longest working hours and heaviest drinking habits in the world. According to the Journal of Korean Medical Science, some 6 million South Koreans drink about 9 million bottles of soju each day on average. So it's even common for colleagues to accompany the boss for drinks at least once a month. And these office gatherings tend to be rowdy affairs.
Yep.
Despite a work culture that smiles on nighttime excesses, it's poor form to allow a hangover to get in the way of work, actually. And this has spurred a unique industry in South Korea.
So that age-old saying, work hard, play hard.
Right.
South Koreans take it to a whole new level.
Yes.
And it's not like we have an unlimited source of energy. Our body takes a toll.
Right.
Hence, an entire industry that specializes in curing the hangover the next day.
We rely on substances.
Yes.
Right.
So, unfortunately, you can keep the cycle going. Yesterday's 회식 or these,
night out dinings, right?
These gatherings or company dinners can be led into a more efficient day at work. It's a vicious cycle, guys. They say it's getting better, but it's still a culture that's very much around. Right. So this industry recently grew even bigger thanks to the lifted social distancing rules. People were excited to get back out there.
Yes, starting mid-April as social distancing to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 was lifted, sales of hangover remedies and convenience store increased significantly. This is due to the fact that the demand for face-to-face meetings and dinner parties, which had been suppressed before, has jumped a big time.
And if you've been deprived, even people who didn't like those gatherings are suddenly interested.
Yes.
Right? Honestly, I'm not a big fan of those gatherings because, well, look when we start the day.
I know.
Right? But I can see kind of the beauty of just a little bit, like a smidgen.
Right. If we were to attend those kind of dinner parties, we would have to come straight to the studio. Right.
Don't say that. Don't say
I would never do it, but then that would be, I mean, time-wise.
Don't let those ideas float around. Say it in hushed reverent tones.
Right, okay.
All right, so the numbers actually reflect this change of people going back out and these hangover remedies, especially these hangover drinks, apparently being incredibly popular.
Right, so most people run to convenience stores to get the hangover juices, and the sales from the convenience stores have jumped more than 50% compared to the same period on year.
Okay.
In the two biggest convenience stores in South Korea, GS25 and CU, the sales of hangover cures from April 18th to June 6th, when social distancing was lifted, the sales jumped over 75% and 53% respectively from the same period last year. And sales of non-drinking hangover remedies such as pills and sticks also surged about 60% from GS25 and over 72% from CU.
What are hangover sticks?
They have like a jelly sticks. for the hangover cures.
So for those who can't take your pills,
Right.
we have it in gelatin form.
And we have it in drinks, we have it in pills, we have it in gelatin forms.
Covered really all grounds. All right, that's a really significant jump, just looking at pure numbers when considering how small the jump was for alcoholic beverage sold at convenience stores.
Right. So in particular, it's noteworthy that the growth rate of hangover remedy sales at convenience stores during the same period greatly exceeded that of alcoholic beverages. It's interpreted that this is because the demand for drinking alcohol outside, such as in pubs and restaurants, has increased rather than drinking at home, which was what people did during the time when the social distancing measures were very strict.
We've had enough.
Right. So alcohol sales at Just 25 and CU grew only about 11% for both of them. So comparing it with like over 50% jump for hangover remedies is a stark contrast.
It's an indication that people are opting for outings as opposed to drinking alone. Now, the stats from credit card companies back this up, showing an increase in credit card usage at bars particularly.
Yeah, so as social distancing was lifted, the trend of drinking parties and gatherings increased was also reflected in the amount of credit card usage.
Okay.
From night to early morning, the amount of use soared after the distancing was lifted at entertainment pubs. According to Samsung Card, when social distancing was lifted, amount used by cards related to gatherings after 7 p.m. increased over 10%. And Hyundai Card also saw a 30% increase in offline restaurant usage in April compared on year.
Yeah, so I wasn't imagining it when, I went out for the first time in a very, very long time. Last Friday, was it?
Right.
And as I was trying to get back home, it was very evident to me certain neighborhoods are prone to more bars and late night outings like Hongdae, Itaewon. It's bustling.
Gangnam. Yes.
How did I forget? Yes, it's back. And it goes hand in hand with an increased demand for hangover drinks.
Right.
Now, what are hangover drinks anyway for our listeners who may not be aware?
So a hangover, first, refers to a set of symptoms that occur because of drinking too much. The symptoms of a hangover demonstrate a wide variation in expression, and severity. The most commonly experienced symptoms of a hangover include tiredness, increased thirst, sleepiness, headache, and nausea. So for the hangover remedies, the ingredients added to a drink suppress alcohol absorption.
Okay.
It also promotes alcohol metabolism, reducing alcohol concentration in the blood. And also, it's known to represent the function of protecting liver cells from alcohol and preventing gastrointestinal mucosa damage.
Okay, so all the things that we wouldn't want, it prevents it from happening.
Right.
And I've been told that that whole Asian glow phenomenon, one of the biggest reasons is that, to generalize, because Koreans can clearly drink, but the idea is we just don't have enough molecules to break down the alcohol component, but these hangover drinks, some of them, or hangover pills, may be the cure.
Yeah, it helps them to break down the alcohol.
I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, is it? It sounds like a vicious cycle there too,
Right.
but it's not like you can avoid these outings altogether. Now, apparently South Koreans are not the only drinkers who look for these assortment of products.
Right, so South Koreans are not the only heavy drinker, it seems. Market watchers say that growing awareness regarding this hangover cure products is expected to increase the demand in the coming years, especially with increased exposure of the products through Korean dramas and movies, increasing penetration of cure products, and the growing awareness about the anti-hangover products worldwide are likely to fuel the market growth during the forecast period. And currently, the Asia Pacific has dominated the global hangover cure products market in the year 2021.
No way.
We're leading.
We're
the
leading
product.
this race. Like, I'm
Right.
not surprised, but surprised at the same time. All right, so 2 South Korean products particularly are leading the market.
Right, so Dawn 808 was the first beverage in this category to come to market in 1998. A patented and proven hangover solution, the morning after drink, was developed over the course of 808 trials, hence the name, as its founder sought a way to stimulate enzymes in the liver to break down acetaldehyde, the substance produced when consuming alcohol more quickly.
Okay.
Taking the biggest pie in the market, Dawn is sold in countries like the US, China, Japan, Singapore, Dubai, Ghana, Australia, and New Zealand.
Ghana.
I don't know. I was surprised by that. I guess people in Ghana drink a lot too.
I mean, within the Asian continent, I get it. It's close enough.
Right.
US, sure, there's enough Korean population. They're in demand for Korean Ghana.
I know.
It reaches all corners. I had no idea the 808 stood for 808 trials.
I had no idea as well, but we all know now.
Something new every day.
Right.
Now, another product that's also leading the race is a rather unlikely addition to the hangover routine because it wasn't designed for that. It was just supposed to be delicious.
It was supposed to be just a delicious drink for us, but it's getting popular as a hangover cure drink.
Yeah, who
it's
knew?
Korean pear, or 배 in Korean. The Korean pear has been consumed in Southeast Asia, and luckily for us, it has an enzyme inside called DHM, which helps reduce hangovers, and is only found in the Korean pear.
I had no idea.
Right.
I just thought it was to quench your thirst because that's one of the symptoms of hangovers, right? You're thirsty, you have to hydrate. This is delicious, sweet, and Korean pear there's enough water content in there to be refreshing. But no, it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
There's enzyme inside that helps reduce the symptoms for hangovers.
Yeah, I mean, what was funny about this pear drink, it was that people in the States call this an IDH drink as the Korean alphabet for 배. Pear looks like English alphabet IDH combined. So they read it wrong because they didn't know Korean alphabet.
Sure.
So they read it as IDH.
And the font makes it look like
Right, that's very true.
the spacing,
Yeah.
and so it looks like IDH drink, hence forevermore known as not the 배 or the Korean bear drink,
Right.
but IDH does sounds a little bit more trendy, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you even search IDH drink on Google or Amazon, you can easily find the product and purchase it. And as a result of an experiment in Australia in 2015, IDH drinks, those pear drinks, were known to be effective in relieving hangovers. And their sales increased rapidly also as they were introduced in a men's magazine called GQ.
That might be the most effective PR method I've ever heard of.
Right.
They ran an experiment in Australia in 2015. We're blasting what that font looks like. Okay, I can't unsee it because initially I was just seeing 배, Korean bear, but now I see IDH.
Now all we see is IDH, right?
It's funny how your brain is so easily tricked.
Yeah.
That's the IDH drink. However, they're not considered a medicine with little scientific evidence to prove the absolute effects. So the message is kind of clear. Don't rely so heavily on
Right.
it.
So not yet. It's not considered as medicine. While hangover cures may provide some immediate relief like thirst, their contents are simply a mixture of glucose with natural ingredients. Their effects are similar to that of normal food, they say. They do contain substances that may help get rid of hangovers to some degree, but the exact mechanism to erase a hangover is not scientifically identified as of yet. And the hangover cures out on the market are merely beverages containing natural extracts believed to help alleviate the pain, but are not certified drugs or supplements.
Thanks for the disclaimer.
Right.
So rather than relying on the hangover juice, responsible drinking would be the best strategy for sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of the listeners said the best hangover cure would be not drinking at all.
I agree. But again, we're kind of biased. We're not big drinkers. But to each their own. We do have remedies out there. It's popular, which is why we talked about it. But do drink responsibly.
Yeah, try out the IDH drink. It's delicious.
It's really funny because we're pairing this with the health and wellness segment. I'm trying to find the balance.
Right.
We gave you the information. Be wise, everyone.
Yes.
Thanks, Diane. I'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
We have Chuni joining us next for our science and IT news portion. Let's get the latest from the IT sector.